evolution of viola repertoire in relation to her 1919 sonata for viola and piano. Some of you may ask, what is a viola? So viola is developed around 1500 in Italy, and like other members of the violin family, it has 4 strings and is played with a bow. Raise your hand if you know what a violin is.
I do.
Awesome! Y'all are so awesome. Okay, does this look like one?
Yes.
Well, guess what? It's not! Although it looks like a violin from afar, and played in a very similar way. It's on your shoulder. It's very different in various aspects, many of which I can't get to right now, but the most notable differences are in pitch and timbre. Pitch is the degree of highness or lowness of a tone, while timbre is the character or quality of a tone. Violas are known for having a deep range and mellow timbre, while violins are known for having a brighter timbre and a higher range. The viola has strings A, D, G, and C, and are played with a bow that's thicker and heavier than a violin bow. Viola is typically written in alto clef due to its lower range. Alto clef looks like this. But sometimes when there are substantial sections of viola music in a higher register, it's notated in treble clef. Alright, now in terms of size, the viola is also significantly larger than violin. This is because the lower the pitch register, the larger the sound box has to be, and the sound box is from here to here and it's completely hollow. With the violas, with the early viola's dimensions, it needed, in order for the viola to have a comparable projection to the violin, it would have needed to be 20 inches long, which is unplayable for the average person like myself. So violas were scaled down to measure between 15 and 17 inches, like this one. But unfortunately, at this time, which was the early 18th century, size reduction and the lack of knowledge pertaining to the viola caused the earlier viola models to have a muffled sound and delayed sound production. These limitations discouraged many composers prior to the 18th century from writing substantial viola music and orchestral parts. For example, in early orchestral and chamber music, the viola part was frequently used to fill in harmonies and rarely got the melody, and if they did get the melody, it was often doubled by another instrument. But during the late 18th and early 19th centuries, the Western world experienced an increase in number of talented viola virtuosi. Such violists like Carl Stammet and Lionel Curtis started to collaborate with luthiers, who are violin, viola, just string makers in general. They collaborated with these luthiers on how to improve the viola. And this improvement in the sound, in conjunction with its rise in popularity, inspired composers to compose solo works for viola and more substantial orchestral and chamber repertoire. And also, this increase in popularity inspired violinists such as Rebecca Clark to switch over to viola and contribute to its repertoire. This segues into my person of focus, Rebecca Clark, who is an English violist and composer who rose to prominence in the early 20th century. Her successes span from establishing herself as one of the first female orchestral players in Britain to tying for first place in a compositional competition with her 1919 sonata for viola and piano. Part of what makes this work innovative is her fusion of musical devices characteristic of various 20th century art movements. Her usage, for example, her usage of exotic sounding scales in conjunction with complex rhythms and emotional expression are characteristic of the romantic musical style. Her clear tonal center, recurrence of musical themes, gestures, and adherence to a traditional form are characteristic of the neoclassicist movement. And some of her impressionist ideals are apparent in the usage of sudden tempo changes and sudden dynamic changes. The score for the sonata is prefaced with a French poem by Alfred de Musset titled May Night. The translation reads, "Poet, play your lute, the wine of youth, ferments night in the veins of God." Clark utilizes his French poem to remind performers of the uneasy and intoxicating mood, which y'all should know about because drugs are bad. But without further ado, I'll be playing an excerpt from the first movement of the sonata. 'Tis the night, 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 'tis This sonata inspired